Commander Legends has provided us with a very interesting case study on slush art and how to use it effectively, and also how to make lazy garbage. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Welcome to another Friday and another Magic Historian video. We're going to talk today about Commander Legends and specifically slush art, how it can be used properly and how it can also result in absolute lazy garbage, right? Because for me, this is a point of frustration, and I had talked about it previously. Specifically, the biggest example I can think of misused slush art would be Modern Horizons. So to make sure we're all on the same page to even understand the examples I'm going to give, you have to understand what slush art is in the terms of Magic the Gathering. So when it comes to a set's creation, obviously every card has particular art that's keyed to it. Depending on the card that's being done, you know, they have more leeway with the artwork, right? If you're doing something with Nicol Bolas and it's like Nicol Bolas's belly tickle, well, you need to have Nicol Bolas in the artwork, to say the very least. And he probably should be at least looking like he's reaching it out towards a tum-tum to give it a little tickle, right? Like, that's what you expect from artwork. Now, for a variety of reasons, art will be submitted by Magic the Gathering artists that just isn't suitable. Either the art just doesn't actually feel like it fits. So for example, you're supposed to submit swamp artwork, but when the artwork comes in, it doesn't feel like a swamp. It actually feels like multiple land types meshed together. Things like that. Or they just completely scrap a concept from a set, but the artwork has already been ordered and paid for, right? So they end up with a bunch of high quality artwork that they can't use for whatever set. Now, all that artwork is placed into the slush file. Now, clearly, as a company, when you've spent money on this artwork, you want to get your money's worth out of it. You don't want to just go, I paid this artist like $1,000 or whatever it is they pay for Magic art, and we're just throwing it in a file and never using it. No. So usually what happens with slush art is they'll grab it and just kind of use it to fill holes in particular sets, where it's like, you know what? We have space in the set for a weird card, grab this artwork and kind of make it work. Modern Horizons had a very high incidence of slush art, and you could tell because slush art has the problem sometimes where it's jarring in terms of not fitting the card. So you look at the artwork and you look at the card and you go, these don't harmonize properly. You go, this doesn't make sense. Why did they use this art and make this concept for the card? And the card that I'm going to use as an example of the poor design problem here is Amorphous Axe. And hilariously enough, this actually ties in to Modern Horizons slush art as well. Like, this is literally a continuation of that. Clearly, Wizards had a concept that they completely abandoned and have repurposed. And this Amorphous Axe is the new example of it. So, it's a 2 colorless casting common card, artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and is every creature type. Equips for 3 mana. Flavor text says a weapon forged for every hand. Now, conceptually, the idea of a magical axe that can reshape itself to different sizes is a very cool fantasy concept. It's been used everywhere, right? Dungeons & Dragons, there are magical gauntlets that literally you put them on. You can find these gauntlets, they're huge. You try them on, they refit to your hands. Doesn't matter if they were on an ogre and you're a little hobbit-sized dude, boom, you can still use the gear. I really like that as a concept. That makes sense. If you're going to make magical equipment a really powerful magical tool, why wouldn't you give it the ability to change who can use it, unless it's like keyed to a particular individual and you don't want anybody else to use it, right? So that is cool from a flavor perspective. And adding in the idea that this axe can actually also give you the attributes of all existence. It's like this axe that harmonizes with all of existence. And so it makes you into everything. Like, you could concept this in a number of ways. You could make this like an axe of understanding or an axe of benevolence, where when somebody has it, they can feel what it's like to be a dwarf, an elf, or merfolk. They can literally put themselves in anyone's shoes and everybody identifies with them. So it could act as like a tool that increases your charisma, your ability to make friends with people, like from a flavor perspective. That is a home run concept, and I absolutely love that idea. However, the execution of this card is an absolute fail. And I actually want to talk about why these kind of failures upset people. If you've ever wondered why people get all like worked up about things that don't matter, let's say, for example, a picture's not hanging right and somebody's just like, oh, it's off kilter, it's driving me crazy. We all have these little quirks that make us frustrated over these things that essentially don't matter. But what that is it's actually tying in to your survival mechanisms, right? Because underneath it all, we're animals and we're meant to be out in the wild just trying to survive. So if something seems wrong, if there's a problem, that could be a threat to your existence. So something as simple as a magic card not making sense triggers a survival response within you that genuinely makes you angry. It's hilarious how like primitive our brains are. So that's what's triggering inside me when I see a card that doesn't add up. When everything doesn't make sense, my brain goes, I don't like this. So the Amorphous Axe falls apart as soon as you look at the artwork, right? Look at the artwork. First of all, you've got like, you could maybe get away with this, maybe if you changed the concept just the tiniest bit. But really what's going on in this artwork, let's be real. This individual is literally being pulled apart. Their essence is being pulled away. I know that's what they're not trying to pretend like they're sorry. What I'm trying to say here, I'm getting a little sidetracked. They're trying to pretend that this is like something coalescing or whatever else, when really the artwork was clearly meant for a card like an ability to like fading, where the creature's slowly going away. Or even you could even use this as like a creature destruction spell where you're just like turning them into like particles of their being, or just purple gooifying them. Whatever you want to look at it from, you could see this as something being pulled apart before you could see it as something assembling. But you could even theoretically just get away with the axe kind of looking like it's changing and reassembling out of this purple liquid if it wasn't also his armor. Like, what's going on with the rest of his body? This artwork is just an axe. It can't be armor because it confers literally +3/+0. So it only boosts your power, and by a significant amount, which makes sense with the giant axe. But with the armor, you've just got 0 toughness being included, right? But why is he fully armored? Why is the armor turning into this purple essence goo and leaking away up into the sky as if this guy is evaporating? There's a bunch of cards that have this sort of like purple evaporation concept, and they decided to just make that into a changeling concept where they go, they're changelings, and it's like, great, but you don't show them changing into anything. They clearly reuse something that doesn't work here, and so it frustrates me. Do you know what I mean? Like this, my brain just goes, this doesn't make sense. Why is his armor dissipating? What's going on here? So for me, this is an overall flavor fail. From a card perspective, just mechanically, clearly the card functions. But from a flavor perspective, it absolutely fails. And it doesn't have to be this way. Like I said, this set is a perfect example, gives us a great case study of 2 different pieces of slush art. Because I'm going to show you another piece of slush art on another card that absolutely works and absolutely was not intended for the card that it ended up on. So Amorphous Axe is a failure. I'm going to show you a win. The win is Revenant. And funnily enough, we actually talked about this card a couple of days ago in the Hans video. So Revenant is 1 black and 4 for a star flyer, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. And the flavor text says not again. Now this is literally a straight up reprint from multiple decades ago of the Revenant card. Even the flavor text is the same. Now, the fun thing is Hans is in Commander Legends. So having a quote from Hans on a card like that going not again is fantastic. It's a great nod to anybody who knows the Lurgoy story and Hans, and if they don't, they can just go, oh, this guy Hans has dealt with the Revenant before and doesn't like it. But the artwork I love the artwork on this. Let's be real. This artwork is amazing. You have a completely unsuspecting bunny, and it's just out in some kind of plains land or whatever, just standing up on its hind leg, like not even prepared to bounce off, pretty much in the most vulnerable position that a bunny could be in. Just like, I mean, I guess if it was asleep, whatever, but it's just standing there, no idea of what's about to befall it. And coming from above it is this smoky, smog-like monster made of pure darkness. Now, we know it's the Revenant, so this is literally like negative life energy coalesced into a spirit. And it's coming to claim the existence of this rabbit. And it travels on silent wings, right? This rabbit has literally no concept of what's going on. Great artwork, a great way to give a really like sense of foreboding where it's the moment right before something awful has happened. Has this Revenant drifted slowly down, anticipating destroying this rabbit? Or has the rabbit just stood up and the Revenant is barreling down at lightning speed, just with like soundlessly coming towards the end of that rabbit? Like, dude, either way, the flavor's awesome. But this artwork was never meant for this card. This artwork could easily be for some kind of creature destruction spell, unsuspecting prey, destruction of innocence, whatever you want to call it, right? Something like that, where it just shows this bunny getting absolutely obliterated. But with the Revenant itself, there's nothing in the artwork really to be like, okay, this is connected to a bunch of creatures that are in your graveyard. Like, you can tell from the artwork, this was meant for something else. This was never meant to be the Revenant. However, that doesn't matter, right? Because it works. You look at it and go, yeah, I can totally see this as a giant flying spirit that is like focused through the power of death, right? You can see that. But you can also see that the card art was never meant to be that. If you really pay attention to the signs and you know how they put together Magic card, they would not design the Revenant this way, right? It would come across in a different way. So to me, this is an absolutely fantastic execution of using Slush art because they've put in the effort here, right? It's just a reprint of the Revenant card, but they went, you know what? Let's bring this back because it ties to Hans. And the artwork ties in perfectly. So the whole card all by itself becomes what a Magic card should be. A perfectly encapsulated little story as well. This is the story of a death spirit that is about to destroy a rabbit, showing that these things just hunger to bring everything to the grave, because by destroying that rabbit, the Revenant gains in power as well, because it adds another creature to the graveyard. So that's an amazing story, all captured on the same card, where the Amorphous Axe, the whole thing just falls apart when you actually start to look at it. Essentially, you're punished for using your mind and looking at things critically and pulling them apart. And I absolutely hate when that happens. I hate when it happens with shows or whatever else, where essentially you're punished for thinking. That's not fair. The people who are creating these should put in the additional effort to make them, like, it's not that hard. Revenant's literally a reprint. Slap the artwork on and you're done. Amorphous Axe, it doesn't make sense. And I find that incredibly frustrating on a personal level. So I wanted to take this opportunity to discuss the Slush art issue. Now I'm genuinely curious because this could just be very much a me kind of thing, right? We all have our, like I said, we all have our own quirks. So let me know if this is something that bothers you. Is this something you've ever even thought of? Does the art not properly matching the concept of the card give you any kind of pause? Does it make you go, ah? Or do you literally go, bro, I don't notice. I'm just having fun with the cards. And at the end of the day, I don't care. Because both approaches are fine. It's fine to be annoyed by it. And it's also fine to go, psh, whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, people are getting upset about everything and anything when it comes to Magic the Gathering. I know, I do it too. We're all like the Magic cards. Anyhow, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, my friends, like, comment, subscribe. It's all great for the channel. If you love what I'm doing, then hop on my Patreon and join the glorious name list that is scrolling by on the screen. The last thing I have for you, my friends, is a link to my latest Magic lore video. If you enjoy awesome stories, you probably, and well, if you don't know magic lore, you probably don't realize that old school magic lore is awesome and you should totally be watching it. So links there for you to check it out. Come on by and listen to me yammer about characters that don't actually exist. Goodbye for now, my friends. I will see you guys tomorrow.